Welcome to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. I got my co-host, Michael Duarte, with me.
How you doing today, Cary?
Hey, I'm good, Michael. Hey, let's do it different.
All right.
Instead of just talking and playing and all that kind of stuff, let's introduce our guest so he could talk and play with us.
All right. That's a good idea.
So I'll let you do that. Larry's right here.
You know, we have a very special guest with us today. He's been with us before.
Many times, actually.
Larry Shallard, who's with Student Health and Wellness over at College of the Canyons. Larry and I serve on a couple of committees. As a matter of fact, he's on the Blue Ribbon Task Force, as you are, Cary.
As I am. I need to start showing up to some of that. I was just thinking that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Definitely do,
I
Cary.
definitely
That'd be a
will.
good
We've
idea.
missed you.
And Larry and I are also on a subcommittee of that, having to do with suicide prevention and post-prevention, which means what happens after a suicide is committed here in Santa Clarita.
Which is something many people don't think about.
What's that?
You know, what happens after
yeah.
the fact, which we'll get into more. But you know, Families in Action is brought to you by our local hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, which we very much appreciate. You know, we're going on 13 years.
I know, isn't that amazing? It's just
13 years we've been
Wow,
doing
you
this
guys
show.
have been awesome.
Yeah, we've just been going.
Important service you guys
You know, and that's what
lend to the community.
And I can't say how much I appreciate KHTS and Jerry and Carl for allowing us to be able to give this kind of information, because I really believe knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
So
I really agree with that, and KHTS has been an amazing support to the community in many ways, including sending a representative to our subcommittee, where before it was Perry Smith, now it's Heather Halprin, who reports on suicide and different kinds of mental health issues in the community in a very responsible way. It's really, it makes me proud. As a matter of fact, I was bragging about it to our federal analysts just this week about how KHTS is really in a leadership kind of position, showing how to respond to mental health crises in the community.
And Heather wrote a great article the other week that we're actually going to be talking about a little bit today.
Good. Also, we're brought to you by Action Family Counseling, which is, we do full drug and alcohol treatments. We have residential, acute residential detox. We have intensive outpatients. We do interventions and all that wonderful stuff.
It would take an hour and a half to talk about everything you guys do.
I can go on all day with the stuff that we do. And then also the Action Family Foundation, which is our nonprofit, which we go into schools and we do assessments and interventions. We help run the TIDE program, which is the school's in-house intervention program for substance abuse. There's so many different stuff, the Sober School, and now soon we're getting ready to roll out, bless you, soon we're getting to roll out the Experience.
The Experience, I'm excited about that.
We've been looking for that for a long time. We talk about it every month in the Blue Ribbon Task Force, and I'm waiting for the wraps to come off that.
The wraps are already there. It's been a funding issue and some issues, because it's a serious deal that we're doing.
Well, tell the listeners, what is the Experience?
I'll let you tell them.
Well, I know some about it.
Let's hear what you know.
But it's a traveling, it's like it's a motorhome, right? And
it is.
You've redone this motorhome, and you can go anywhere with it now. So they don't have to come to you. You can go to them, and they're going to be able to see what's happening in terms of the world of drugs and what it's done to young people and older adults alike.
Exactly. It's a traveling memorial kind of deal.
There you go.
Where there's going to be cameras, TVs and stereos inside, and they'll be able to hear, I lost my kid to drugs, and they'll be able to see the face of somebody in there.
So this is like, in a way, it's kind of like the Youth Grove.
But it's moving.
But it's movable. This one gets up and goes.
For a lot of reasons. I mean, when somebody dies from an overdose, first of all, you don't want everybody going to wherever they put that plot and party and celebrate in that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a safe place for people to be able to do that. And the great thing about it is it's digital.
It's digital, it's interactive, so right away you're speaking to the youth, right?
Exactly.
They're going to have fun, they're going to step on this bus, and there you go.
Yeah.
I think it's a phenomenal idea.
It's the only one of its kind, and also we'll be able to take it out and bring it to assemblies, and they could actually watch it and then see the people that are there. So we want these kids not just to see it, but feel it. You know, people don't change until the pain is so bad So we want people to feel somebody else's pain, maybe so they don't have to feel their own. So it doesn't have to be, an overdose on their part. So, and we don't want people to die in vain. How's that?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going to be exactly fun, but it's going to be a moving and effective experience, which would be really powerful and hopefully lead to some changes.
Yeah, there's not much fun when it comes to working in substance abuse or suicide or depression. The only thing that comes when it comes fun when you get text messages and emails from somebody saying, "Hey, thanks, I'm doing great," or you give somebody a cake for a year or a chip, Then, but when it comes to the tragedies, it's always terrible. And unfortunately, right now in this world, there's many tragedies.
There are. And we're going to be talking about suicide prevention, and we've got a couple of action files we need to talk about.
That's why I was kind of lead you into that.
Well, I was going to say, before we get into all this heaviness, we got to lighten it up just a tad.
Okay.
Now, besides Monday, do you know what today is?
Yeah, it's the 12th or 13th. I'm just playing. What is it, Mike? Tell us.
Well, listen, today is National, listen to this, Cream-Filled Donut Day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, everybody got excited about that.
And hey,
that's why there was donuts at the BHU today. The people brought donuts in.
And but today, today is even better because it's a twofer. Today is also National Eat a Hoagie Day.
Wow. Geez, where do they come up with these things anyway?
No, not they. Where does Mike come up with
Where does Mike come up with these things?
No, I didn't come up with this. It literally is National Cream-Filled Donut Day and National Hoagie Day. So now we know what we're doing for lunch, right?
Okay.
Hey, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, heading into the action file.
I knew where you're going.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Cary, Ohio couple calls out heroin in teen daughter's obituary. Now, this is a true family in action.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me read this to you. Confronted with the sudden death of their 18-year-old daughter, Fred and Dorothy Shoemake made a defiant decision. They would not worry about the finger-pointing, whispers, or family stigma. They directed the funeral home to begin Allison Shoemake's obituary by stating flatly that she died of a heroin overdose. This is what Dorothy said. "There was no hesitation. We've seen other deaths. When it's heroin, the families don't want to talk about it. They're ashamed. They feel guilty. Shame doesn't matter right now. What really matters is keeping some other person, especially a child, from trying this." So they had their decision brought an absolute outpouring of support.
Very courageous.
If you can imagine. And she just said, that's something that needs to happen. People die of overdoses and it gets swept under the rug.
More people die of overdoses in our country now today than car crashes. And we're talking over 43,000 people a year. Over 43,000 people a year. And the number's not going down, it's going up.
Wow.
And it's, I believe, one of the most preventable deaths there is. The other problem, here's what I've been noticing, and I really want to get this out there. A lot of the people that we are losing, we're losing because they've been sober for a while. Does that make sense?
It does to me, but maybe you should explain it.
Yeah.
No, I was going to. I wanted people to really think about that. The reason is because everyone that's shooting heroin or smoking heroin, they know. I mean, as a drug expert, I would rather take somebody shooting heroin than a chronic pot smoker. Because I can look at somebody shooting dope saying, "You're ruining your life," and they go, "Yes, I know." I can look at somebody that's a chronic pot smoker that doesn't care about anything except for smoking pot, saying, "You're ruining your life." They go, "Huh?"
It really is amazing how many people who are chronic pot smokers just don't think there's a problem.
They have no clue. Or the people that are on the anti-anxiety medications because doctors give it to them, so they just can't figure it out. But somebody that's sticking a needle in their arm or smoking heroin, they know they're ruining themselves. So over and over again, they say to themselves, "I'm going to stop. I'm going to get clean." And they clean up for a while. But something comes up and they start it over again. And what happens is their mind still needs as much drugs as they did before they stopped. Their body can't hang. So these people are starting to, before they know it, bang, they're shooting the same amount they did when they quit 4 months ago.
Right.
So we're losing their lives.
And that leads to...
That's so sad. And this goes right into another action file item that we have here, Cary, and this one is fentanyl-laced heroin worsening overdose crisis. Now, I don't
100 times stronger.
I don't need to say another word here. You can run with this, but you know what? I just need to say this for people out there. As you said, 100 times. Yeah, it's 30 to 50 times more powerful than heroin. It's 100 times more powerful than morphine. And here's what they have to say about it. This is Mary Lou Leary, a deputy director of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, who said, heroin is bad enough, but when you lace it with fentanyl, it's like dropping a nuclear bomb on the situation. That's big time, Cary.
Well, we see it at Henry Mayo. We see it in the ERs. We see it in the ERs all through the country right now. People are coming in on overdoses, and it's both heroin and fentanyl.
How do you know if there's fentanyl in the heroin?
Well, you can, when they do toxology, obviously when somebody's overdosing, but you don't know. And the problem is with any drugs, Larry, it's. I mean, think about it. For instance, here, let's take crystal meth.
Okay.
Crystal meth is made by who?
I don't know, somebody out in the desert somewhere.
Somebody out in the desert, and that's probably the truth. And what are they going to put in there? Whatever they can. You know, obviously the drugs that get you high, but you'll find in almost every batch, rat poisoning, I can go on and on and on. When it comes to heroin, they're going to put whatever they need to put in that'll get that addict high. They want the business. So when you're really shooting dope, using crystal meth or any of those kinds of drugs, it's always a gamble.
And this will put this into perspective for our listeners. The dose, this is fentanyl, the dose the size of a few grains of salt can kill.
Ouch.
That's potent.
Yeah. And they're putting it
Strong
into
stuff.
heroin. Why? Because they want everybody to say, oh man, that's some good dope. You know, and people are going to buy it, but all of a sudden you start losing people.
There were at least 700 fentanyl-related deaths from late 2013. 700 from late 2013 through 2014. So that doesn't count this year, right?
Right. That's it's really right now.
It's frightening.
Yeah. Well, you know, the White House says we're having an epidemic, and we are. I've been screaming. I've been screaming 5 years. It's going to be worse than the 70s. I've been screaming. We're going to lose more people. The dope's more serious. More people are going to become addicted. And what happened? We're losing more people. The dope's more serious, and we're losing more people. It's just.
You saw it coming.
Well, because that's what we do. We're right in the middle of this, what they call war. So, hey.
Boy, is it ever. And you know, September 3rd, KHTS Radio, Heather Harbin wrote a wonderful article titled September is National Suicide Prevention Month. And it was talking about the resources in Santa Clarita Valley. That was September 3rd. September 10th was World Suicide Prevention Day. And Larry, you're well aware of these numbers because we talk about them all the time. But when this article was written, there had been 18 deaths in Santa Clarita since January. Okay, since this article was written, September 3rd.
Let's say that again. 18 suicide deaths.
Since January.
Here in Santa Clarita. 18 people took their own lives here in Santa Clarita.
Now we have to increase that number because since September 3rd, it's gone up to 21 suicides.
Yeah. So that's what, less than a week and a half ago. So that means 3 more people took their lives in the last week and a half.
Yeah.
Just here in Santa Clarita.
Right here. It's tragic, and it's somewhat preventable, and we really need to start talking about it. These two of these recent deaths were what we call transition age youth, and these are the first transition age youth of this year.
What does that phrase mean?
So our
what
transition age youth,
here?
we're talking about 16 to 24.
Right.
So I work at the college, so this is a really important,
Really hits home, huh?
a really important age group for us. But the 16 to 24 is the second highest rate of suicide. So we've done a lot with Michael and you and to try to prevent these sort of things. And just when we thought we were making some progress, we've had 2. So we're not happy about what's going on, but we really want to try to get the word out that this is mostly a preventable situation. If we can get the word out that there's resources out there and there's signs minds. It's a very complicated situation, but we want to sort of draw awareness this month, especially to what we can do to prevent any further, because last year, what did we say, there was 30
Yes.
suicides in the Santa Clarita Valley area, and now we're already at 21, and it's September. So
Yeah, it looks-
we're not on a good
No.
path. We're on a good path with transition age youth, I think, except for the two recent. But for the rest of the age group, we're definitely not.
And we have to let people know that it wasn't just younger people that were doing this. We have people that up 60 plus. We had
Right.
4 people that were 60 plus.
Right.
We had people.
Can you
in the-
imagine? I want everybody to take a minute and think about this for a second. How sad and lonely and scared and miserable somebody has to be to do that.
Exactly.
To really sit down and think about how to end their life. Think about how sad, lonely, and miserable somebody is. That's just terrible.
And they're sitting there thinking about, how am I going to do this? Because that's part of what they do. They're not only are they reaching the point you're talking about, Cary, but they're also saying, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, they have to
and
plan
they
it.
start seriously planning, because the list of the suicides we've had locally included mostly gunshots, some hangings, jumping off the bridge. One person jumped in front of a train. One person put a plastic bag on their head, and one had stepped in front of traffic.
One of my workers, his niece stepped in front of a train last year. Here.
Wow.
Yeah.
We know these things can be very traumatizing to people who know of these individuals. So we know between 6 and 28 people can be directly affected by a suicide, and thousands of people can be affected. So we want to be sure that we respond to those who have been directly affected. The other thing we know is that people kind of misjudge the amount of support they're going to need in these situations. Their first response is, well, I can kind of deal with it, but then it can start sinking in. So we want to make sure that people know that there's resources out there for them, from everywhere from Action to Child and Family Center to Santa Clarita Mental Health. On the college campus, we have our personal counseling program.
Even just going into the emergency department at Henry Mayo,
Right.
Something's going on here, I need some help.
Right. We just know, just kind of reach out, use your social network and your friends and your family, your church, your temple, whatever, your faith-based organization, whatever it is. We know there's people there for you to support, and just kind of respond to this sort of thing. We're responding on the campus, and it's a ripple kind of effect. So we want to make sure that people know there's things that you can do.
And there really is, there's plenty here in Santa Clarita. I was talking to Dr. Dorio, we were talking about, are there suicide prevention stuff here in Santa Clarita? Actually, there's plenty. And we have to go on break now, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more of this, and then we'll get into all the options people have up here in Santa Clarita. So let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.